If you need to stop, have a little rest or stretch, stop and stretch whenever you need. Starting again when you're ready to pick it up again. So if you're seated, see if you can find that nice lifted position. So it's trying to create space between the rib cage and the belly so that the diaphragm can move to allow a nice relaxed breath, belly breath. The shoulders are down, the chest is lifted. So I'm just going to calm down from the top here, making sure that as I breathe, I'm not breathing apically, I'm not breathing from here. I'm trying to let the breath drop down. If I'm lying down, I'm just going to use the mat to help me relax. So resting the head onto the mat, feeling the belly raising with the inhalation, and then falling with the exhalation. And then keeping that steady breath again. Then I'm just going to practice with a little scan over the body. So noticing if the pressure under the seat bones is the same, if the pressure behind the shoulders, behind the head, behind the legs is the same. I'm not changing anything, just noticing where everything is and how I feel to begin with, how I feel at the moment. Then as I start feeling a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more settled into position, then I'm going to start working through the shoulder girdle. I'm going to shrug the shoulders up to the head. I'm going to pull them up to my ears, and then I'm going to press them down and away. So I'm going to pull them up and then press them down. So noticing how the neck tenses when you pull them up and how it lengthens as you press them away. Picture the back of the shoulder, picture the shoulder blade against the back of the rib cage. Imagine the shoulder blades to be gliding up and down, especially if it feels a bit sticky, a bit stiff. Let's see if I can encourage a nice, smooth gliding between the two. 3, 2, 1. And then I'm just going to change the direction of the movement. I'm going to go into a little protraction, retraction. So I'm going to pull the shoulders forward, and then I'm going to squeeze them back. Pull them forward, and then squeeze them back. So again, noticing where the tension is. As I pull them forward, I can feel the front of the chest, the tensing. As I draw them back, I can feel the back of the shoulder tensing, making sure that it's not coming up into the neck. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, and releasing back, giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll. And then I'm just going to see if I can join the different directions together. So I'm going to go into shoulder circles. So I'm going to pull them forward, lift them up to the head, push them back, drag them away. Forward, up, back, and down. I'm going to try and create the biggest movement possible. So especially if you're seated, take advantage of the space that you've got, so there is nothing behind me, so I can really go into a big movement. If I'm lying down, I'm a little bit limited because obviously I don't have space at the back, but I'm still going to try and move within as many different directions as possible using that circular movement with the shoulder. 3, 2, 1, reversing, coming to the front, dropping down, pushing back, to the head, to the front, down and back. And then just noticing the different direction, Is there any change in the movement? Does it feel maybe a little bit noisier? Does it creaks a little bit more? Does it feel smoother? Are the two shoulders moving the same amount? Is one easier to move than the other? 2. Last one. Giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll, relaxing through the shoulders. There's a little bit more movement into the shoulder girdle. I'm going to try and see if I can focus on the shoulder joint. So I'm just going to start off with the front raise, alternating right and left side. So I'm going to raise the right arm up, easing it back, and then I'm just going to take that left arm. So if I'm lying down, think of taking the arm up to the ceiling and then to the back wall. If I'm sitting up, I'm going to raise the arm to the front and then take it towards the ceiling. It doesn't matter if I can't lift it very high, just making sure that the neck, it doesn't feel as if it's gripping and stiffening up. See if you can be aware of the chest staying lifted, making sure that I'm not hunching forward, trying to compensate with the back of the neck. And then as I feel the movement, it feels a little bit easier, a little bit smoother. Then I'm going to see if I can go a little bit further. So the next one, I'm going to take the right arm up and behind. And then I'm going to try and reach it back as if with the fingertips, I was trying to touch the ceiling if I'm seated, the back wall if I'm lying down. So I'm going to let the shoulder come up to my ear, let that side of the body lengthen and lift. Then I'm going to drop away the shoulder, and then I'm going to return the arm. Same thing to the other side. So I'm going to take that left arm as high as I can. I'm going to reach up as if I was trying to touch the ceiling or the wall behind me if I'm lying down. I'm going to drop the shoulder and then release the arm. So I'm going to lift up, pull high, down, and relax. Up with the left, reach high, down, back and relax. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. And releasing back and giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll, just a little bit more movement into the shoulder joint and a little bit more length down the side, back of the shoulder side of the rib cage. I'm going to try and see if I can add a little bit more to that, adding some spinal movement. So I'm just going to start off with a little lateral flexion. So I'm just going to flex down one side, ease my way back to the center, and then flex down the other way. So if I'm seated, I don't need to support the head as I'm moving with gravity on the way down and then coming back up. If I'm laying down, I might want to support the head with one hand. So with one hand, I'm going to support the head. With the other, I might reach down the side, back to the center, and then flexing the other way. Back to the center, and then flexing the other way. So creating a little bit more tension down through the obliques into the side of the belly as I'm moving side to side. Making sure that, as usual, I'm not forcing, so there is no pinching, there is no pain in the back as I'm moving from one side to the other. As I feel the movement starts getting a little bit easier, a little bit looser, then I'm going to try and see if I can add the arm ridge. So as I flex to the left, I'm going to pick up the right arm. I'm going to reach nice and long, and then I'm going to stretch it over to the side. Then I'm going to release back. And then as I flex to the other side, with the other arm, I'm going to reach over and stretch the other way, and then coming back. So see if I can create a nice long stretch down one side of the body, releasing back to center, and then one long stretch down the other way, and then back to center again. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, and releasing back, bringing the body back to the center, releasing the shoulders, releasing the upper body. It's a little bit more movement into the back. I'm going to change the direction of the movement slightly. I'm going to start going into rotation. So I'm just going to keep the arms close to the body, whether I'm lying down or sitting up, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to keep the arms maybe crossed onto the chest, and then I'm just going to start rotating from side to side. So think of a nice easy movement. I'm not stiffening, I'm not tensing the shoulders or tensing the neck. Imagine a little bit of a rusty screw that you're trying to gradually make move a little bit more in both directions. So the same thing with your torso, just a little movement. If I'm laying down, I'm just going to keep the head on the floor and then just gently roll from shoulder to shoulder, keeping the arms across the chest. So see how far I can roll over the left shoulder. See how easy it is to roll over the right. Turning the head to follow that movement, side to side. 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. Releasing the shoulders, relaxing the arms. I'm going to open up the movement a little bit more. So this time, instead of keeping the arms crossed onto the chest, I'm going to reach them out further. And then I'm just going to start making the swing a little bit bigger. So as if I'm lying down again, I'll be rolling from shoulder to shoulder, but using the arms to help me pull a little bit further and a little bit further around. If I'm seated, use the space that you've got behind you. So see if you can create a nice swing going to the right and a nice swing going to the left. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And releasing back, giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll again, adjusting the rib cage, adjusting the shoulders, adjusting the spine. And then I'm going to try one last time. I still want to work on the rotation, but this time I'm trying to focus on opening up, stretching the back of the shoulder a little bit more. So as I rotate to the right, with my right arm, I'm going to grab hold of my left arm and then I'm going to try and hug it as close to the chest as possible as I turn. So I should be able to feel a little stretch behind that left shoulder. Then I'm going to ease back, and then as I rotate to the left, I'm going to bring the right arm onto the chest and then take it with me, see if I can create a little bit more stretch behind that right shoulder, and then swapping side again. So see if I can gradually stretch a little bit more and a little bit more, just making sure that there is no pain. So I'm not forcing, I'm just trying to ease off some of the stiffness from behind the shoulder blade, from the middle of the back. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. Last one. And releasing back, giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll. So it's a little bit more movement at the back of the shoulder. What I want is a little bit more, but this time across the front of the chest. So if you're lying down, I want you to roll over onto one side. And then setting yourself into a little opening and closing doors. So the head is supported with the pillow, with the block if you need to. The legs are together, the knees are bent in front of the hips. If I'm seated, I'm just pick up whichever arm I want to begin with, so the right or the left, and then I'm just going to start opening the door. So with that top arm, I'm going to swing around, I'm going to reach back as far as I can feel a nice stretch across the front of the chest, and then I'm going to come back to the front again. So I'm going to open the door, and then I'm going to close it. So the biggest movement you possibly can, just making sure that, again, I'm not forcing, I'm not creating pressure or pain. If I'm on the side, I'm going to turn my rib cage and open up with the arm. If I'm seated, I'm just going to turn the rib cage and then reach in with the arm behind. See if I can find the angle that works at opening the shoulder, stretching the front of the chest. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. Last one. And releasing back. Giving the shoulder a little bit of a roll, relaxing the shoulder, releasing the back. I'm going to try the same thing to the other side. So if you're lying down, I'm just going to turn myself around and then roll over onto the other side, setting for that opening and closing doors the other way. If I'm seated, I'm just going to move straight onto the other shoulder, onto the other arm. So I'm just going to open the door, rotating and reaching back as far as I can, and then close it, coming back to the front. So opening and closing that door. And then same as you've been doing so far, just notice the neck, making sure that it doesn't feel as if I'm pulling through the neck. The neck feels loose, it feels easy. Notice the position of the arm into the shoulder socket. As I reach to the back, if the arm is in the right position, then I should be feeling a little stretch across the front of the chest, but there shouldn't be twisting. So it shouldn't be feeling awkward or hard on the shoulder. It should be feeling quite easy, quite smooth. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And releasing back, giving the shoulder a little bit of a roll, relaxing the shoulders, releasing the upper back. This is a little bit more space at the front of the chest, more movement into the spine as well. I'm going to focus on the legs. I'm going to start off with a little hip mobility, just as trying to get the hip joint moving. So I'm going to bend the knees, walk the feet close together, and then I'm just going to start opening out into a little knee drop. So right leg, I'm going to open it to the right, bring it back to the center, and then open it to the right again. If I'm seated on the seat bench, so the hips shouldn't be moving, they should stay fixed, it's just the leg that's moving. If I'm laying down, the hips can still roll to the side. So see if you can be aware of the hips, the pelvis is staying still, and it's just the leg moving into the hip socket. So I'm just going to try and create movement into the hip joint. Just trying to loosen it up gradually. And then same as usual, if I feel that the leg is not responding well, I'm going to use that arm to help me move it. So pushing it out and then pulling it in. Pushing it out and then pulling it in. So see if I can imagine the leg really floppy. So I'm allowing it to move easily, freely into the hip socket. 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, relaxing the hip, a little rest for that side. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. So I'm going to try and push it out and then squeeze it back in again. Opening and closing that side. So same as I did on the other side. Imagine one of those rag dolls. So see if I can relax the legs so much that the hip joint is letting go as well and allowing a smoother, easier movement on the hip. Again, using the hand to guide. If I feel that the movement is a bit restricted or the leg is not responding too well. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. Relaxing the hip, releasing the leg. So a little bit more movement into the hip joint. I'm going to see if I can start loading it. I'm going to come up into a little knee lift. So again, repeating on the same side as usual. If I need a little assistance, if I'm seated, I can use the hands as the leg is a little bit closer. Or I can just use the strap behind the right leg to help me control the leg again, to help me guide the leg if I need to. If I'm laying down, reaching with the hands is too far away, as the leg is slightly further away from me. So it's better to use the band so that you're not straining the shoulders or the neck. And then this time, I'm going to go for a lift. So think of loading the front of the hip. So I want the front of the hip to tense and to try and close. Then I'm just going to let go and open again, and then tense and close, and then open again. So think of a little lift. There might be a lift, there might not be a lift. It doesn't matter. To see if you can try and find the connection into the front of the hip. If I'm not quite sure, I can always put my hands in there, or my finger in there, as if I was trying to dig the fingers into the very front of the hip joint. And then as I pull up, I should be able to feel the quads tendon that is kind of like, it feels like almost like a guitar string, a thick guitar string. So I can feel it tensing and releasing. As the muscle pulls, it puts tension into the tendon, allowing me to take the leg up into that little lift. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, relaxing the hip, relaxing the leg. I'm going to try the same thing on the left side. So again, if I need a little support, a little assistance, I'm going to put the band behind that left thigh. And then I'm just going to use the arm to help me guide the leg into the lift. So same as I did on the right, to see if I can try and find that tension right at the front of the hip. As the muscle tenses, the tendon stiffens up to allow me to pull the leg up, to allow me to lift the foot off the mat. So lifting and lowering, same as before. Little lift, a big lift, no lift. It doesn't matter, just to see if I can keep the in the hip. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing down, relaxing the hip, releasing the legs. It's a little bit more movement at the front of the hip. I'm going to try and see if I can change the foot one more time. What I want is to work with the inner thigh, with the inside of the legs. So I can use a pillow, I can use a towel, I can use the ball. If I've got the ball, I'm going to put it between the knees. So just as something that I can squeeze, that is not going to dig into the legs, so something soft. And then shuffling the feet a little bit closer together. I'm just going to start squeezing into the ball, squeezing into the towel with both legs at the same time. So I'm going to try and press and release. So imagine to have a balloon between your knees. Every time that I press, I'm going to try and pop the balloon. And then I'm just going to release gradually. So I'm going to press as hard as I can, and then I'm just going to gradually let go. Press as hard as I can, and then gradually let go. So squeeze and release. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Allowing the legs to relax so I can feel the tension into the inner thigh. I know that my right works better than my left, or my left works better than my right. This time I'm going to try and work a little bit in isolation. They will both have to work because the ball is between the knees. But I'm going to focus on one more than the other. So I'm going to hold with the left, and then I'm going to try and squeeze in with the right only. Then ease the pressure, hold with the left, squeeze in with the right. So see if I can be aware of that stronger tension on the inside of the right leg. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Release in the right. I'm going to hold with the right and then squeeze in with the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And release. Pushing the ball to one side, the towel, the pillow to one side, giving the legs a little shake. And then same as I did for the rest of the body, I'm going to see if I can start gradually putting a little bit more effort, putting a little bit more weight into the legs. So if I'm seated, I'm just going to walk the feet a little bit closer to the chair, finding the right distance between them. I'm going to hinge forward, I'm going to lean forward, and then transferring the weight into the legs. Imagine to be standing off the chair, and then I'm just going to ease my way back down. So I'm just going to try and lift, and then I'm just going to ease my way back. If you're lying down, then I'm just going to drive the hips up. So pushing down through the soles of the feet, I'm going to squeeze up with the back of the hips, and then I'm just going to ease them back. So I'm going to drive my way up, and then ease my way back down. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And releasing back. We're giving the legs a little shake, relaxing the hips, releasing the back of the thighs, allowing the legs to extend if you want to, hugging the knees to the chest if you're laying down to stretch off the back and the back of the hips. And then we're going to give the legs a little bit of a stretch. So if you're lying down, I want the left leg to stay straight along the mat. The right, I'm going to bend it with my left hand. I'm going to reach down the side of the leg, side of the thigh. With my right arm, I'm going to open to the side to counterbalance. And then without lifting the foot off the mat, to see if you can pull the right leg across to the left. So I'm just trying to create a little stretch down the side of the leg. So the hips of the bum stays on the mat. The foot is still on the mat. I'm just trying to pull that gently on the top of the leg. If I'm seated, I'm going to do the same, but to do so, I need to move the left leg out of the way so that as I pull on the right, I've got a little bit more space to travel across. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ease the stretch. Same thing to the other side. So bending the left, extending the right, vice versa. I'm just going to gently pull the leg across. Opposite arm extending out if I'm laying down onto the mat, making sure that the hips are staying on the ground. It's just the top of the leg that is moving. So it's just a gentle stretch down the side of the leg into the hip. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ease that leg back. I'm going to go back into the first side, same position. So I'm just going to reach across with the opposite hand and then pull the leg. Now, if you're seated, this time I'm going to pull the leg across with the arm, and then I'm going to try and turn around as far as I can. So I'm stretching into the leg, but I'm also stretching, taking the stretch across the pelvis and into the back. If I'm lying down, this time, instead of keeping the foot on the mat, I'm going to allow the foot to lift, and then the hips to rotate to the side until I can feel a gentle stretch going around the hips and into the back. The shoulders stay on the floor. I'm not turning the top of the body, I'm just turning the hips. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Releasing back, relaxing the leg. I'm going to try the same thing to the other side. So swapping side. One arm counterbalancing, the other arm across the leg. I'm going to pull the leg across and then allowing the hips to turn as far around as I can maintain the shoulder on the mat. If I'm seated, pulling the leg across and then rotating into the leg. See if I can create a little stretch across the back too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and releasing back. Releasing the legs, adjusting the hips. There's a little bit more length to the outside of the leg. What I want is create stretch on the inside of the leg. So if you're lying down, bending both knees, I'm going to let the soles of the feet come together and then let the knees flop out to the side. So I'm just going to let gravity pull me down. If I'm seated, I can't use gravity, so I'll have to use the arms. I'm going to shuffle the feet a little bit further apart, and then with the hands on the inside of the legs, I'm just going to try and push out into the legs, trying to get a little stretch going on the inside of the leg, inside of the thigh this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And release, easing the legs back to the middle, releasing the inner thigh, and then stretching into the back of the leg. If I'm seated, I'm just going to shuffle forward into the chair, making sure that you're still safely seated on the chair. I'm going to extend one leg to the front as much as I can, and then I'm just going to lean my way forward until I can feel a little stretch going down the back of the leg. If I'm lying down, I'm going to grab hold of my strap, put it around the right foot, and then see if I can gently ease that leg towards me that way. If I can't do it with the strap, I'm just going to use the arms. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. We're swapping sides. So I'm going to extend the other leg. If I'm lying down, using the strap or using the arms, I'm just going to straighten up and gently pulling the leg towards me. If I'm seated with the leg straight in front of me, I'm going to lean forward, see if I can get a gentle stretch coming down the back of the leg. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. Giving the legs a little walk, giving the legs a little shake. When you're ready, if you're laying down, rolling over onto your side, and in your own time, pushing yourself up into sitting. Finding your comfortable seated position, leaning against the wall, sofa, with something sturdy that is not going to move, is not going to let you fall. Using the arms if I need to. And then once that I feel that I've got a good stable position there, I'm going to try and open up the front of the body. So imagine to be lifting from the pubic bone all the way up into the chin. So I'm going to try and lift up from the belly, into the rib cage, into the chest, up into the throat, into the neck, all the way into the chin. Then I'm going to release, I'm going to close everything. So I'm going to tuck the chin, I'm going to drop the head, round the shoulders, round the back as much as I feel comfortable. And then I'm going to open up again. Lengthening, lifting as much as I can, shoulders back, looking forward, looking up, looking back. And then coming forward, round in the back, rolling down. Last time, extending up. And releasing, dropping back down. One hand to the belly, one hand to the back. Take your bow. Give yourself a backward dance.